All right, let's be brutally honest here. I want to preface this video by saying that although this video is criticism, none of this is meant to be in the tone of voice or coming from a place of, I hate this game sucks, the devs have done such an awful job, this game's gonna die. None of that is intended by this video. I kind of wanted to take a minute to be brutally honest about MultiVersus, talk about the problems. This isn't me making a video saying Batman's OP or Harley's OP. This isn't me making a video and saying Walter White isn't in MultiVersus, so the game died. I want to talk about the real raw problems with this game and the reason that 90% of the players have left in the past month. I just really need to make it apparent though. I love this game so much. I have so much passion for this game already. I literally started this channel specifically for this game. I think I had like two videos from a long time ago, and then I never posted again on this channel. Like, MultiVersus is this channel so far. I've devoted like 200 hours into this game in the past month and a half. I come home from school every day and I play this game and make content about this game. I love the game. We need to talk about the negatives because otherwise they aren't going to change. This is the Steam charts for MultiVersus. This right here is when the game went public. I know there's this massive ad in the way. As you can see, when the game went public, it had 142,000 peak players. That's incredible. That's so many players. In the last 24 hours, the game has peaked at 10,000. It went from 140,000 to 10. And as you can see, it just keeps going down and down and down and down. Right now, there's 7,800 players on. So this isn't just me complaining. There is statistical evidence that the game is on a very aggressive downward spiral. So let's talk about why this is happening. Number one, and I think the most pressing problem and the number one priority that should be on the devs' mind, the server stability. And I know that you guys have heard about this before, but I really want to talk about like every little bit of the server stability, which you probably don't even know about a lot of it because some of it is platform specific. I probably am going to miss a couple things. As a whole, the servers on this game are just really, really bad. Basically, every game that I play, I'm on a 2-bar, which if you guys don't know, if you look in the top right, when you play, there's 3 bars for connection. Already, that's really not enough bars to like show the connection. There should be like 6, 7, 8, like all the way up to 10 even would be good. I know that looks a little bit bigger, but it just like 3 bars is not enough. The game's connection is not either a 1, 2, or 3. But anyway, basically every game I play, I have a 2-bar connection. My internet is really, really good. If you don't know anything about like internet or like nerd shit, then you won't understand this, but I have like almost 1,000 upload and download. I have really, really good internet. I'm hooked onto Ethernet and I'm still getting consistent 2-bar games. My point with that is not to say that the game's connection is based on your personal internet connection. It's a factor, but the servers themselves are just not good. This happened with Splitgate. We saw when the servers weren't ready to have this many people on them. And I truly think that this is just a case of suffering from success where the devs did not expect to have 140,000 players on their servers. But even now when the game's died down, it can't even handle 8,000 people on the servers because the servers are just not good. It feels like I'm playing a Minecraft Hypixel lobby that has like 3 times the max player count that should be on the server. People teleport around, moves don't connect, even when the hitboxes are supposedly perfect now. We haven't actually seen the hitboxes. We're just going off of what the players can feel in game. Hitboxes do feel good. It's more just the fact that moves are connecting that shouldn't connect because what you see on your screen is different than what your opponent is seeing on their screen. So when a move connects with you and then you say, oh my God, these hitboxes are still trash. It's really not the hitboxes because on their screen, the hitboxes were perfect and they hit you. But on your screen, they were across the stage. So it just doesn't really match up. And that's because the server stabilities, the netcode, all of those factors that come into play, making the game just unstable. This sounds like a crappy excuse that like COD players use, but genuinely people are losing games because of the connection of the servers. When I hear somebody in Valorant say, oh my God, I died because of lag, I usually just write it off as like them complaining about dying because they overpeaked or something, right? In MultiVersus, when my teammate says they died because of lag and I see them teleport from here to off the stage, they're not lying. The servers just aren't good. The devs have said that this is their number one priority. I've seen Tony, who's very public and vocal on Twitter about like what they're working on, the changes that they're making. I actually do appreciate that publicity from Tony. It's nice to see devs talking about the things in the game and being honest about the problems in the game, even though he's still missing the mark on some things. I think it's really good to have somebody that's actually public about stuff like that. So I do want to say like thank you to Tony, even though I don't agree with all the decisions that are being made and I think that they're missing the mark on a lot of things. At least they're being public and vocal about it, which is more than most games. He has said that the server stability is the number one priority, but that there's a different team that works on servers than there is for something like new characters. So when the people see a new character come out and they say, why are we getting new characters instead of server stability? There's different teams working on those. And I do agree with that. Every game has certain designated teams for certain parts of the game, but there just hasn't been any improvement in the servers since the game came out. Like they're still just as buggy and bad as they were the day the game released. And with all of these updates that come out, it just feels like we're falling further and further behind. And this is like something that you would expect from an alpha beta, not like, and this is something that you would expect from like a closed alpha playtest on a game, not a public open beta. Is it beta or is it out? I still don't know. I think it's in beta. They're kind of just pulling a Fortnite though, where they say they're in beta, but really the game's like out. The next thing that's also kind of tied to stability, it's kind of a subtopic of stability. Crossplay is really bad. Server stability is already bad when I'm playing PC to PC, but whenever I queue into a game with like an Xbox or a PlayStation player and I'm on PC, the server stability is even worse. Usually those are the one bar games where people are literally teleporting. Also, there's a bunch of console specific problems where, for example, the game will start before you load in. So most of the time when I play and I queue up against an Xbox or PlayStation player, I have to remember to not start at the beginning because there's like 3 seconds where I'm able to move and fight and see him, where they're just standing still or like randomly strafing because they haven't loaded in yet, but they can hear the game happening. So console players literally aren't loading in time to play. And a lot of the time I've seen like people in my comment section, people on Twitter talking about the fact that they'll get stock before they can even load in because the other player is able to load in before them. That's like a game breaking problem that just hasn't been fixed. Moving on from stability though, because we need to talk about some other things as well. Stability isn't the only thing holding this game back. I just think that that should be the #1 priority. Number 2 is a general lack of content. Now, I don't think new characters are the issue here. I feel like a lot of people are saying, like I've seen so many people talking about, we need new characters quicker. There aren't enough new characters. That seems wild to me because a new character every 2 weeks is insane. That is a crazy amount of new characters. Valorant, if we take Valorant, for example, and I know this is a different type of game, but it's another game with like characters and abilities that matter like that. Valorant releases a new character every few months, if that. Overwatch released a new character every few months, if that. I don't know how often League releases new characters, but I'm sure it's not every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks for a whole new character with a whole new kit of abilities to come out is crazy fast for a game like this. So I don't think that's the issue with the lack of content. It's more just that we've been playing the same 2 game modes for the past month and a half with 0 changes. People load into MultiVersus and then they either go play a 1v1 or a 2v2. There's nothing else to do on the game. Yes, there's free-for-all, but let's be honest, nobody plays free-for-all. Custom games are just kind of something that's expected. It's not like an actual game mode that can be considered in the game. That's just expected for games to have. If you don't have customs in your game, it's not really a complete game in my eyes. When I come home and play MultiVersus every single day, I just queue up for 1v1s, or if my friend is on, I queue up for 2v2s, and that can get extremely repetitive because there's not ranked. All I'm grinding for is a spot on the leaderboards, which is cool and it's fun, and I've been grinding up some characters, but like there's only so much that I can do when I'm just grinding for a leaderboard spot in a casual unranked game mode, especially when the MMR system is really bad. But that's a whole nother thing. I'm not even going to talk about that in this video. I don't think that the MMR being terrible is like something that's really holding the game back. Yes, the MMR system sucks, but that's not the reason that people are leaving the game, because a lot of people don't care about their spot on the leaderboards. It's just coming from me, who's like a competitive player in every game, and don't mistake me for saying that means I am incredible at every game. I just like to play at my highest level possible in every game, and I like to play at my most competitive state. I don't really know how to explain that without people thinking that I'm trying to say I'm like good at games. I'm really not. Right now, I'm like top 2K in 1s and 2s, both with Arya. That's good for me, you know, I'm chilling, I don't really care. So by no means am I a professional player. I like to have something to grind, you know what I mean? And grinding rank feels rewarding to me, and it feels like I can actually see progress happening, and there's a reason to come home and play the game. But even besides ranked, because some people are specifically casual players and don't care about ranked, there hasn't been any new like party modes that have come out. Party modes are games that are just like casual modes, so you can just queue, that are quick and fun. Like for example, if there was a Juggernaut game mode where it was like a 1v4 where the one brawler was super overpowered and then the 4 others were just like normal and they had to work together to take out the one brawler, that would be a cool mode. A King of the Hill mode, like that would be cool. Maybe something like a capture the flag or something. Like I don't even know how they would work. They don't need to be balanced, and they don't need to like be competitive. That's the point of party modes. It's just something to go mess around and have fun. There's been nothing. It has just been 1v1s, 2v2s, and then free for all that nobody plays. Along with this, there's no like challenges to do besides just like the normal weekly challenges. But what do you gain from that? More gold? What are you gonna do with the gold? There's a new character every 2 weeks, but honestly, like I have like 20,000 gold right now in my account, and there's no reason for me to have like what am I collecting this gold for? I don't spend it. The only thing I ever buy is more toasts when I run out, and it's like 250 gold for toasts. I don't even do my challenges on purpose. They just naturally get done because I play the game a ton, but like I don't even look at my challenges. There's no point. And then once you complete the battle pass, there's literally no reason to be playing the game. This leads me into my next reason, which is kind of a sub reason of the lack of content, but there's just not a reason to continue playing once you finish the battle pass. And even before you finish the battle pass, if you don't have any challenges, there's no reason to keep playing because the amount of XP that you get is not really that much. There's nothing to grind for. The only thing I can think of that would encourage someone like me to grind the game more is that one specific, like the badge that you can show on your account that shows like the amount of maxed characters that you have. But to max a character, you have to get them to level 15, which takes like an hour of playtime. It's really not that much, especially if you have XP boosts. I have like a lot of XP boosts just sitting in my account that I don't ever use because there's no point. That's another thing, just like the gold, where I feel like I'm collecting this currency system that I have nothing to spend it on. It would be cool to see specific skins that were free if you got to like level 30 on a character, so you have something ridiculously high to grind for. I still don't have a level 30 character. I have a bunch of characters at like level 20, level 25, level 15, because I just kind of play a bunch of different characters to try and find something to do in the game. But having like a certain specific skin that you could get at level 30, or a certain specific badge that you could get at level 30, or just some kind of like in-game reward to grind for would help a ton in keeping players coming back, because as of right now, there's no reason to play this game every single day. I play it every day because, like I said, I love the game and I make content on it. But like, if I wasn't as invested in this game, I wouldn't be coming back over and over, because there's no reason for me to come back over and over. There's only so long that people can come get on the game, play the same casual game modes every single day without anything changing. The next thing that I wanted to talk about, and this one will be brief, and I will try to keep this as objective as possible because I don't want to be in controversy. I've always hated being in controversy, and as stupid as it sounds, talking about the balance of characters in this video game is getting involved in controversy, because a lot of people get extremely upset when you talk about their main. Me personally, if I'm playing like Garnet and somebody says Garnet's OP, I'm just gonna be like, you're stupid, and move on. Like, it's not that deep. I just don't like being involved in like the back and forth arguments from people because I'm talking about balance changes on characters. It's just, it's a waste of time, and I get too invested in it. But anyway, the balance of the game is really bad. When the game came out, Finn and Bugs were extremely overpowered. Everybody played Finn for like the first week, and then they finally did something to Finn. I don't even remember what the specific change was, but then Bugs came and took over, and Bugs was extremely overpowered. And then Velma popped up in 2v2s, and Velma was extremely overpowered. Iron Giant was a problem for a while. Now we have Batman dominating the 1v1 scene. And it's just like, it always feels like there's one or two characters that are just miles and miles above the other characters in the game. And then it always feels like there's characters that are miles and miles below the other characters in the game. Taz was really bad for a while. I actually, unpopular opinion, I think Taz has been brought back up. Once people get like that kind of stigma out of their mind that Taz is bad and start to actually give him a chance, they'll start trying to get him nerfed, because I think that Taz is a little bit too good right now. That's for a different time. Now, there will always be a meta. There will never be a video game where there isn't anything that's meta, because that's how video games are. There will always be something that's stronger than the rest. There is no way to perfectly balance a game. However, in most games, the meta is just something that's better than everything else, not something that's like game-breakingly, stupidly powerful and just miles above everything else. If you look at Bugs before the nerfs, it was insane how much better he was than any other character in the game. If you look at Velma in 2v2s before the nerfs, it was insane how much better they were than everything. You look at the pro scene and you see a character that has an 89% pick rate or something, it's pretty clear that they need to be adjusted. And it feels like the devs are kind of too nervous or scared to take drastic measures in nerfing those characters. So it takes them like 3 or 4 updates to actually bring them down to a level where they're balanced and not overpowered anymore. We've seen this over and over with Finn, who it took them like 3 nerfs to actually make not overpowered. And even now, Finn is still very strong, especially if you're running Speed Force Assist and then you're buying the speed boots. It can be so overwhelming to play against. Even now, after like 4 nerfs, Bugs is still extremely good and definitely sitting in meta. I don't think Bugs is like game-breakingly overpowered anymore, but he's definitely still sitting in meta after like 4 nerfs. So it just feels like they're not being aggressive enough in these nerfs. It takes them like 3 or 4 updates to bring Taz up to a level that's playable, because he was bad for so long. So it just feels like all of these balance changes they're making are little baby steps towards the characters, because they're kind of too cautious to actually just balance them. And I understand that's easier said than done, right? It's hard to balance something when you have 100,000 players that are all telling you different things about a character's balance. This is why I actually, you will rarely catch me complimenting Fortnite in its current state for doing something right. But I really like the little polls that Fortnite sends out, where like every 4th or 5th game, you'll go to the main menu and it'll ask you a very simple and quick question. It'll be like, how do you feel about the burst rifle in Fortnite? And then you'll have a 1 through 5, and you have to rate whether it's like garbage or overpowered. And then you click one button and it's like, thank you for submitting the survey. And then you can just play the game again. It takes like 2 seconds. And that's actually helped Fortnite to balance their weapons. And it sounds crazy because I know that a lot of people don't like Fortnite anymore, myself being one of those people. But I really like that idea of getting like a mass report system out to like kind of get reports from the players on what they feel is balanced, because I think that could hugely benefit MultiVersus. It just feels like they can never manage to keep the skyrocketing meta down or the like dumpster diving horrible characters up. They're struggling a lot with balance, and partly maybe because they're so focused on other things like bringing the server stability up. But it even feels stupid for me to say that, because if they were so focused on bringing the servers up, you would think that since the game came out, there would have been like one good update to the servers. But like I said, there just hasn't been. Moving on from the balance though, because I know that that's kind of an obvious one. Everybody knows the balance is touchy. I want to give the devs props for a quick minute, because it's hard to please everybody. And I don't just mean about the balance. It's really, really hard to take a game from being at a point like it was in the beginning, where you're overwhelmed with all the support and all of these players, and you have hundreds of thousands of people playing your game and throwing all this feedback in your face, and you have this small dev team that was prepared for like 10,000 players, and you got 10 times that thrown in your face. It can be super overwhelming to deal with. I can only imagine what the devs are dealing with right now and how many things they're trying to juggle. But at the same time, with all of these players and the money coming in, I would really hope that they would be using those resources to try their best to keep up with everything that's happening. And it feels to me like they just haven't been. Like I said earlier, I have a ton of love for this game. I actually really think that this dev team is doing a good job so far with like talking to their community and being open to suggestions and changes. It's like a 50-50 feeling where I see the main dev tweet out and say, "We don't know how to balance Tom and Jerry. What would you suggest?" And then part of me is sitting there thinking, it's great that they're getting community feedback. But then part of me is sitting there thinking, the devs don't know how to balance their own game. How should the players be expected to balance it for them? I'm split 50-50 there, where I'm thinking that the devs are overwhelmed and they're doing a good job with what they have. But then the other part of me is thinking, there hasn't been a single good change made for the servers. There hasn't been a single new game mode since the game came out. There just hasn't been any new content besides a new character every 2 weeks. But even then, they haven't been consistent with the characters that they're releasing. They announced Rick, and Rick's entire moveset was public like a month ago, and we still have heard no word about when Rick is actually coming. Now, I may be proved wrong, because tomorrow is update day, so maybe he comes out tomorrow when this video goes up, and I'm proved completely wrong by Rick there. But then also, Black Adam and Stripe have been on the loading screen since the season came out. We still don't have any word about when they're coming. It feels weird to see Rick and Morty get announced, and then we get Morty, and Rick gets thrown on the back burner, and we never see him again. And then we get Black Adam and Stripe that are super like hyped up, and then we get Gizmo released, and we don't hear anything about Black Adam and Stripe again. I've seen the leaked roster. Whether it's accurate or not, nobody really knows, but apparently it was pulled from the game's file. And if that roster is correct, there's a huge amount of really cool characters that would be coming out. And it just feels to me like, with all these super hyped characters from really popular things, why is Gizmo the priority? Or like, why isn't Rick? I don't even watch Rick and Morty. It's personally like, I've never even seen the show, but I know that Rick is a hugely popular character. So it feels weird to see other people coming out before him, especially when Morty is already out. I don't know. My point here is that it's hard to impress everybody. The game will never be perfect. I feel like people's expectations for the game are so unbelievably high. Like when I first started seeing people telling the devs that they weren't releasing enough characters, I was kind of like blown away by that, because like I said earlier, a character every 2 weeks is insanely fast. A lot of you guys don't really understand just how much new characters that is. Try to think up an entirely new moveset for a character and then actually add it to the game, implement a system for those abilities that works well with whole new interactions, voice lines, character interactions back and forth, build a hitbox for them and working stable attacks for them, develop the personality for it, add some leaks in online, build some hype for it, and then do that every 2 weeks. Like, that's insane. I just wish that they would keep up with that amount of updates with everything else. It feels like their entire dev team took a vacation except for their character design team, who's pumping out new characters. Regardless of if you agree or disagree with these things, which I do want to hear, leave your feedback in the comments 100%. But regardless of whether or not you agree with the things that I've said, the game's on a decline. That's a fact. I showed you guys the Steam charts. The game has lost 135,000 players over the past month, and it continues to decline. The game keeps going downhill and downhill, and with it, the content creation scene goes downhill and downhill. The tournament scene goes downhill and downhill. General interest in the game goes downhill and downhill. I went from having every single one of my friends on this game a month ago to now having like one consistent person that I played this game with. And even then, we both end up getting off after like an hour, because there's only so much that we can queue a casual 2v2 mode without wanting to get on something else. So that's my thoughts, my opinions on what's actually running the game. I got a couple people that were telling me that I'm not really talking about the real problems of the game. And I did make a video like literally 2 weeks ago or something where I talked about, I think it was titled like MultiVersus needs to change, or like these things need to be fixed in MultiVersus or something, where I kind of mentioned some stuff in this video. This video was much more in-depth and more of just a talking style video so that I can give you guys my full thoughts. I wasn't doing any like commentary over games in this video. I'm gonna throw some B-roll on, obviously, because I'm not just gonna leave you guys staring at me for the next 15 minutes, however long this video is. But that is my complete and detailed thoughts on why this game game is dying. I love the game. I truly want to see it succeed more than anything. I don't want the game to die. I don't want this video to come off in a negative or complaining fashion. I don't mean to be complaining with any of this. Complaining is not my intention. It just kind of comes off that way because it's criticism. Let me know if you agree, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.